All right, are we ready? I am so excited. Hello, everyone. I just got an extra burst of energy because I am seeing some beautiful faces representing from the West Coast, from the East Coast. Some of my favorite people have signed on. Hello, hello. I love you all. We're going to jump right in. Julia Flores is in the house. Yes, let's
Hey.
go. How we are going to start is she's going to do a quick little introduction, tell us a little bit about herself, how she got into casting, and then we were going to jump right into questions and just ebb and flow. When you're ready, Julia. Thank you for coming.
Oh, and one more
Oh,
thing before you jump
yes.
in, Julia.
okay.
We should let everyone know that we are recording this session.
Oh, yes, that's
And
important.
also at the end of the session, we are going to take a group photo. For those of you who'd like to be a part of that, you can have your videos on for the photo. All right?
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
if you don't want to do raised hand or that you want to ask me something privately, you can do it in the chat and I will relay the question to her as well. So we have lots of options. Take it away, Julia.
Oh, hey, everyone, welcome. And I was just telling Tatiana and David, I just got done with a day of classes. I do master classes, and every single time I see one of your faces, it's just, I miss my job so much. And I miss it's because of seeing you guys. So some familiar faces and lots of new faces. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me here today. It means a lot. I've been casting for over 30 years. Have had my own company for the majority of that time. I started interning at a casting office my senior year at USC and had no idea what a casting director did. I did it just so I could graduate on time. You know, not cheap tuition there. So I had 4 years. So I'm like, I got to get out, and never looked back. This is not a stepping stone for me. This is not a means to an end. This is where my heart lives. This is where my home is. And the majority of that is because of the artists that I have the pleasure and the blessings to work with. You guys are so near and dear to my heart, and the creative teams that I work with. I don't have to try to like what I do. I don't have to try to like the material that I do. Every project, it's the same routine, but it's a different experience. Even if I cast the same show twice, 3 times, 4 times, it's just been a blessing. So yeah, I've been casting regional theater now, solely regional theater for, gosh, at least the last 25 years. So, and that's really what speaks to me, and that's what I do. But I think we have a lot of universal themes that cover lots of different genres and what we do. An artist is an artist in my viewpoint. So yeah, so I'm excited to be here and help you guys in whatever way we can. I think we're talking, the major theme of today is talking about how we transition and what we can do right now because I am a firm believer in learning from every experience that's put in front of us. And I really, really believe that right now is an amazing time for growth. And if we want to see a difference, we have to make it happen. And that's difference within ourselves, and it's a difference in our family, in our theater family, in our acting community family, creative community. And I see a lot of doors opening, and they should have been open a long time ago. But they're opening now. So that's it's time for us to walk through them.
Great, thank you. Why casting though? What made you fall in love with becoming a casting director? You hear so many stories of, actor turned casting or dancer turned writing. What really makes you fall in love with what you do?
For me, it's the perfect mix of everything I love. It's the connection, it's the creativity, it's the business. And I'd say as a casting director, 90% of what we do is hand-holding. And I'm not just talking about my artists, I'm talking about the creative team too. It's hand-holding with my directors, my producers, I look at what I do as being a liaison to helping make introductions and helping make things happen and thinking outside the box. And I get a clean slate. Casting is pretty much almost right there at the very beginning of the process. And how exciting is that? You know, to be able to see a process from the beginning, like, and see it from the list in my head to the auditions, to opening night, to closing night. It's fantastic. It's a high. It's my personal drug. It's my drug of choice.
That's great. Who has questions as we open up? Anybody have a question right now and want to ask in the chat? If not, no pressure. We will continue on. Okay, no questions right now, no raised hands. So Julia, chat to me then about this connecting. You have a director, you might have a manager or an agent, and then you have the actor, and you're doing a lot of negotiations.
Yes. You know, when I get a phone call from a producer who is my client, it's here's this show that we're going to be doing, and then I get introduced to the creative team, director and or music director, choreographer, and we get together as a team, either individually one-on-one or as a group, and I want to hear their vision of what they want to see happen. And then I get all of my questions answered, and in regards to material and all of that, and how the process is going to look, scheduling auditions and doing all of that, and then I get set free to create and make my lists. And within the last 3 years, I would say, my clients have been far more open to getting video auditions, which is great, because that allows me to do prelims and without them seeing them, because I think then my artists are able to really be able to experiment more and try more things out in a safer place, because I get the videos and I'm the only one who sees them. I only send them on and when they get the thumbs up. And then once, there's a lot of times that I'll go back to the artist and say, you know, let's tweak this, let's change this. And it helps us get to a place where my artists can feel more confident when they walk in that room and or when they're in front of my creative team. So yeah, and then there's prelims, there's director sessions, there's final callbacks, and then there's the hiring. So
that's wonderful. How do you feel about self-tapes? Everyone, I think, has such a strong opinion. Some people hate them, some people love them. What's your take on a good self-tape?
I think well, it sounds like two questions, so I'll answer the first.
Yeah.
I love the videos. I love the videos from pretty much what I just said, because I think it allows me to be able to interact with the actors, with my actors, as possibilities that I might not have had the time to do. I always do these in addition to my live prelims, because what was happening is that I wanted to see so many new people, and it's my job to be the gatekeeper, right? Nobody gets to the directors without seeing me or knowing me first. And so I don't like that responsibility, because I view this as an opportunity to be able to kick as many doors open for as many new people as I possibly can. And my assistants I would send them this huge long list of people to see for prelims that I didn't know. And they'd be like, Jules, you don't have the time. You've only got 3 days of prelims and you've got, 6 days. So then I came up with the video idea. And so that for me was a time that, like, after hours, I could look at videos any time of day, right? And it takes less than 5 minutes for me to go through most videos. Take notes. I take notes on all of the videos, and then the people that I can give notes to and have them make adjustments, then they send me videos back. So I try to start the video process as early as possible, so then we can allow for alterations and changes. And then part two of that question is more challenging to answer, because I think everyone's going to be different. I think there are three different types of actors. One that videotapes better than they audition live. One that auditions live better than they videotape. And then the unicorn that can do both equally as well. And so it's our job as casting directors to really know the human being as well as the talent skill set, because then I always say I'm an advocate for you when you're not in the room, and knowing you helps me advocate for you better. And so I can say, listen, Jane had nerves, or Joe, it sounds like he's got like an upper respiratory thing going on. Like, just knowing people really helps. And I think the video back and forth thing for me helps me establish that relationship with somebody that I've never met live. And then the correspondences, the emails back and forth. You guys have no idea how important those correspondences are. You think shooting an email to a casting director is really not a big deal. We are reading those and we are seeing them, and we feel the tone of them. It's like a really good email, it sets you apart, because in order to have that video viewed, you have to send it in an email, right? And so with a lot of my students, that's what we do. We structure, I say, come at me like I don't know you from the man in the moon. I want to see the email. I want to see the video link, picture and resume, all of that.
And how long is this email?
It depends. It depends. I mean, I've gotten...
That's what I'm saying. Some people, it is a 5-paragraph dissertation starting from the 5th grade when they were a Girl Scout. And
in font number 3. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then I'm like, I got to grab these then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to your point, that's what I'm saying. The structure of an email is crucial. And guys, we can also tell the ones that are boilerplates that you have. I can tell the email that is sent to me and the email that you have sent to me,
to everybody,
20 other casting directors, so I think all of us want to be appreciated. All of us want to be heard and seen. And that's the other thing that Tatiana and David and I were talking about. It's so important to me that you guys know that even during the pandemic, like, my acting family has been on my mind heavy, and you are seen and you are heard and you are thought about. And that's important as human beings. I don't look at what I do as just a business. It's also my life. And so it's important that you take the time. If you're going to shoot off an email to somebody that you've never met, do your research. Good Lord, that's what God created Google. So you do your research and find something. What show have you seen that I've cast, or that any of my brilliant colleagues have cast, or what movie did you see somebody do that really spoke to you, and be specific about it. Keeping it concise, because you want to be respectful of people's time, but yeah, those emails are pretty crucial.
Wonderful. Before we move forward, we had a question. Can you please break down prelim?
Oh, sure. A prelim is something, because people don't see directors. So the chain of events is, I get the script, I make the lists, and then I see people who I don't know, or I'm not sure are like there's some people that you're just like, oh yeah, totally in their wheelhouse. And there's some people that I'm thinking to myself, I really love this actor, and I know that this is a possibility for them, but it may not be sort of where they really live. Let's play. It's the safe place for me, and it's the safe place for my artists, where we can just play more without the extra set of eyes, right? And so I've been doing them live, and then I also do them on video now, or have been doing them on video. And so usually I'll do like anywhere from like 2 to 3 days of prelims, and then maybe 2 to 3 days of director sessions, depending on how large the show is. Musicals always take longer. And then usually just 1 day of callbacks. So yeah, so prelims are great. And there's so many people that get a little hot and bothered by coming in for a prelim. And I mean, that's fine. If you don't want to come in for a prelim, that's fine. These are the same people that won't go to the EPAs. And it's like, okay, you know, then the audition isn't going to happen, you know, unless you know something that I don't know. If you have a relationship with the director and you want to bypass it, then that's fine. But I'm just trying to help, you know, that's all we do. We're facilitators. We are creative thinkers, and we want to help.
Do you go to EPAs? Are EPAs important?
I'm always the one.
Wonderful.
The EPA. Yeah.
Wonderful.
My assistants don't go to the EPA.
I think that's important for a lot of people to hear, because I find so many artists get discouraged and think, I will never get in front of this big casting director or casting. They're sending their, you know, assistant on a lunch break, but EPAs are very important. That's great.
They really are.
That's great. And they work. And you hear success stories.
Okay, so here's the deal. I have two amazing assistants, Emma and Kelly. And Kelly, I met initially at an EPA for a show I was casting. Not only did she get that job for that show, but she's been my assistant. She's been one of my main assistants for, I think it's been 5 years now.
Wow.
And so it's, and nobody shows up to them in LA. Well, now I don't even.
I was about to say, in LA, no.
Yeah.
You're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Pack a sandwich, the people roll up.
Yeah, I've been doing this long enough that I remember when I used to pull up half an hour before an EPA was going to start, and the line would be down.
That's right.
The street. You couldn't find parking. Like somebody would have to, from wherever we were holding the auditions, would have to hold my parking space. And now it's like you could throw a bowling ball and not hit anyone. But it's a great opportunity. The EPAs, what they are, is they're a really great opportunity for the non-equity people to come in and be seen, because there aren't enough equity members to fill them.
In LA specifically.
Yes. In Los Angeles. I haven't done an EPA outside of Los Angeles in a very long time.
Excellent. I want to remind all of you what I loved about Julia when I was on the phone with her is that she wanted cameras on, so that she could connect with all of you. So again, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have one, you can raise your hand and turn your mic on. If not, it's okay. I'm reading them in the chat. What sets certain actors apart in the room? We can transition to that and talk a little bit about type, but I'm gonna hold that for a minute. Melina, yep, you could turn your mic on and ask your question when you're ready.
Hey,
I just wanted. Hey,
Perfect.
I just wanted to I thought this would be great for people to hear. I got my equity card being a reader for you. And so many people had told me that this one play was casting, and I was just like, oh, whatever.
See?
And I left a message for you. And I literally, I don't know why you would believe me, but I'm really right for this part. And you were like, it was just something in your voice, and you called me back, and I had a great time being a reader for 3 days, and then got the part. So
see, you just never know. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's just, if you feel it in your heart, you just go for it. You know, you just go for it. And it never ends up happening, or no, I don't say never, but sometimes it doesn't happen the way you think that it's going to happen. It's not always an A to B to C to D kind of thing. Guys, look at what we do for a living. You know, we are not attorneys. We are not doctors. We are not, you know, we are creative, outside the box kind of thinkers. And so I'm not quite sure why the business aspect of what we do should be any different. So,
I did have a question, just favorite projects and a few favorite discoveries. And if you hate that question, you don't have to answer it. But
no, you know, interestingly enough, Melina, I get asked that question a lot. I mean, because we've been doing a lot of these workshops, which has been such a gift. But that question almost every time comes up. My favorite show, I have to say, there are two. Maybe three. I don't know. They're all my babies. These are all my children. That's like picking which one, which daughter do I love best. I have to say Peter Pan has I have a very long history with the show. I've cast it for the majority of the years that I've been casting. And then Tom and Kathy are a family. They're no longer clients. They're just, you know, they're family to me. And so casting, I can look back in my life and say, okay, like my husband and I, one of our first dates with my stepdaughter and my husband was the taping of Peter Pan. I actually had a date with another guy that I blew him off and invited them instead. So
Scandal.
right? So it's a very, very, very special show. And then more recently, I'd say this time last year, I was casting Matilda. And holy smokes, those kids and that cast, what a gift. And it was magical. And both Michael Matthews and I, from the very beginning, his vision for it was, I was so excited because he's like, I want every color of the rainbow. I want different sizes, different shapes. And because I love the book. And for those of you who have never read the book, you must. And because it's everything that we do, it's about the magic. It's about humanity. It's gorgeous. And I wanted to do it justice. And so we got an incredible cast. And still to this day, they are, I mean, we're working on our first year anniversary of the show. And I don't think we've ever done that. You know, I mean, it's these kids get together every week. They have a puzzle that they switch back and forth to each other's houses. And it was magical. It was really incredible.
Julia, what sets an actor apart from other actors when they walk into the audition room?
The actors who are prepared, I hate to say it, but being prepared, really, it sounds like something so simple, but it makes such a difference. I can tell the actors who have put time and thought and heart and vulnerability, who are willing to risk, and the ones who it's just like they got the sides, they barely looked at them. They're rushing their 3 auditions ahead of time. They're physically there, but not emotionally connected or there at all. And it's very important to us at Flores Casting that we keep a really warm and inviting and safe space to create. And so to walk into that unprepared feels definitely, it's a square peg in a circle hole. It's like you just know something's why. So,
and if an actor just completely bombs the audition, how do you feel about giving second chances? Or would you call people back if you know them? Say it's a new actor that you don't know and it's just a hot mess. It's just a hot mess.
I guess it would depend on, I was just talking to a student earlier and I said, you know, every time he comes in for me, I mean, he hasn't booked a job yet with me, but I was looking back at my notes before we had our last class and I said, almost in every time I said moments of gold, moments of gold. And so there may be other stuff that's around it, but there are moments of gold. And so it's my job to help him widen those moments of gold and dig out
those golden nuggets. Yes,
exactly. So I think that making sure that they are as prepared as they can be makes a huge difference.
Great. Let's transition a little bit into type and casting.
In regards to
when you are casting, there's a lot of talk right before we started, of course, with casting. You know, we hear the words colorblind casting against type. There's always that actor who believes that they can play that 80-year-old man, and I'm sure that they can, but certain people are very strict on what casting looks like, and producers are strict on how they want it to look like. What's your opinion in all of this?
Yes, I think that right now, we are given an opportunity to again, I'll use this metaphor again, to kick that door even wider open. That net goes out even further and wider now, and without, hopefully, God willing, without as much push as it has been before, because it's really directors that I've had the pleasure to work with, you know, sometimes that's an issue. And you know, it's our job to try to change their mind, but sometimes that becomes a big issue. So for me, the tightrope walk that we do is being respectful of their vision, and for me personally, respecting your time, because I know how much my actors give to any given audition. I am not the kind of person that does the courtesy callback. I think that there's no courtesy in calling someone back who I know my director and my producers are not going to hire. You know, I feel like if it's just for political reasons, to call somebody back just feels wrong. To me, at least, it does. Because I know that your time is valuable, and if you're in the room, it's because there's interest. And but on the flip side of that is that it's important to us that we give as many opportunities to as many actors as we can. I can remember one time we were doing Spring Awakening, and there was this woman that came in, and she's so fierce and so full of fire. And I said, "Oh my gosh, can you read for one of the male roles? Are you comfortable with that?" And she's like, "Heck yeah." So she read it, and we were in a callback. We had her coming in for one female role and one male role. And the director was totally down to do that. I mean, he was totally open to do that. So I think for me, it's about matching energies. It's about matching the heart of a character with the heart of an actor. And sometimes that doesn't have any boundaries, but sometimes it does. And I think, again, Tatiana, I think we come into an interesting point in our world where I think respect is going to be key as well. And being able to be respectful of the job that I have to do and the job that you guys do, and that my producers and directors do too. And I always feel like, I hope that my actors feel welcome to voice their views to me, and then let me fight the fight for you.
That's great. Thank you. We have a question right here. It seems like the audition rooms are no longer available to everyone, and that there are gatekeeper agencies. And how do we get in if we don't have representation? How can we get into the audition room of TV and significant film projects without powerful representation? How should we approach casting directors about this issue, and how can we ask them to give us a shot?
Right. I think right now, again, is a super exciting time, because guys, you have to understand, right now, it's not about getting in the room, right? If your obstacle is getting in the room, okay, so right now, let me say this. You can do the same thing that your agent can do to a certain extent, right? Because what does your agent do? Your agent contacts me, contacts a casting director and says, you know, you should see X, Y, or Z, right? You should see Jane Doe. And then right now, Jane Doe is going to have to submit a videotape. So what happens if you're able to keep track on Backstage, IMDb, Playbill, whatever other services there are that will have the breakdowns out there? You contact that casting director, or you get your hands on the material, or if you know the material, find a monologue, find a scene that's in that same sort of genre, put together a nice package with your picture, with your resume, a nicely worded email that's respectful of the fact that this is sort of outside the box, but that you want this opportunity, and then follow up and see what happens. Because really, at the end of the day, I would say agents and managers, bless their hearts, and I know that they do an amazing job. I would be lost without them, but it's a false sense of security sometimes. You put your careers and your life's passion in their hands, and then you sit back and do nothing? No. You have to make the opportunities happen. Mr. David Mack is a fine advocate of that. I think that, you know, I mean, you cannot sit back and wait for opportunities to just plop in your lap. You have to take this time right now to make it happen. And that means, you know, getting more experience with how I'm feeling more comfortable with video auditions, and reaching out and being specific. If you're going to contact a casting director, producer, find out about them before you do. Make that email a little bit more personal. This is all really empowering stuff. We take control back.
That's great. I absolutely agree with taking the control back and being your biggest champion, because if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
That's right.
You have to bet on yourself 100%. We are living in this glorious time, and I am going to call it glorious. It's been a wild ride for all of us, but what advice do you have for actors during pandemic time? I feel that many have already written their one man or one woman show. They've read all,
Right?
they've read all the books. They've baked everything in the pantry. You know, they're over it now. It's kind of like they've taken all the classes. So what advice do you have to just for artists to continue to stay inspired, not get discouraged, not hit the artistic brick wall?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like anything in life. I mean, personally for me, I find that like it's spending time with it so that you feel that you're making headway, making your list of things that you know you should be doing. I mean, all of us, you know, not that I would wish this, but like maybe we brought this pandemic on ourselves, because look, how many times have we all said, I wish I had more time. I have no time. I wish I had more time. I have no time. I can't do that. I have no time. The excuse is gone. The excuse is gone. I mean, look, you make the time for what you want to make the time for. And I think right now, you know, I was, before the pandemic, I was doing these master classes every now and then when I had the time. But now it's what I do, and they've been a godsend, because it keeps me connected with my acting family, but then also too, because there's a million things you guys can need to be doing right now. How are your dialects? You know,
that's a good one.
How are you taking, you can still work on dialects. You can still work on pictures. Your photographer doesn't need to be less than 6 feet in front of you. You can still, because I had a student that goes, oh, well, after the pandemic, I'll get my pictures. I'm like, why? Go outside, take some pictures. I think that sometimes the excuses just come because you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to put yourself out there. If you don't have the pictures, then you won't have to, you always have an excuse why it's not going to happen, instead of just frickin' making it happen.
Come on.
You want it, make it
happen. Come on, everyone should be saying that. Make it happen. You want it, make it happen.
Make it happen. So, so take those pictures and resumes, get those resumes, take those pictures, get them updated, get your resumes updated, get your website up. And it doesn't need to be pretty, it needs to be practical. Like 50% of what I've been doing with my students is getting their website and their online profiles together, so that then we can find you. So people like me can find you and know who you are, and get all that stuff together, and start feeling more comfortable with video auditions, because that's where you're going to be living now, you know, and really be able to feel comfortable with that, and investing in knowing how to light yourself, and knowing what to wear, making sure sound qualities are good, and you know, all of that stuff is really important, and there's still so much that we can do. And some scene work. I know a lot of my acting family has been doing readings and things like that online, which is great. But yeah,
that's great. Thank you. That is wonderful. We're hearing so much talk about when theaters are going to reopen. What's your take on the LA theater scene? Have you heard anything on when certain theaters are going to be open? I know that there was a theater in Florida that's already open right now. They're still performing. A few back on the East Coast have been approved. They've reopened.
Yeah, I have a couple clients that are on the East Coast, and they were doing sort of amended versions or outdoor versions and things like that, which is which is interesting. Unfortunately, you know, here in Los Angeles, I keep hearing 2021. I think we're shooting for spring of 2021. And you know, I just keep praying. Literally, it's on my prayer list, you know, that we can all go back to work sooner rather than later. And one of my producers said, we picked a god-awful career for a pandemic. You know, because you start thinking about it, and their responsibilities are high, because you have to find the show where people aren't kissing, aren't touching, aren't, you know, and how many people are going to be in a room, and will we really be able to, as an audience, be able to see what they're doing when they're covered up like this? So there's a lot of what ifs. And at the end of the day, as much as I want to go back to work, and as much as I miss all of you and want to see you in person, your lives and your health and your safety is exponentially way more important than that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Jane, go ahead. You have a question.
That's kind of what I was going to ask, but do you think that they will adjust? You know, the problem is most people can't adjust how many seats they have. Like, for instance, down at La Mirada, can they do every other seat, or are they talking about time? Because I know all the little 99 seats they're meeting like crazy all the time, you know, talking about how it's going to happen. But have you had conversations with Tom about how to adjust his house and things like that? Or is everybody waiting for the vaccine?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, our demographic in La Mirada is, I mean, I think the demographic for most theater goers is a high risk group, you know, and so I think that's definitely been an issue. I know it's interesting you bring that up, Jane, because I know that, like, my clients at Boston Court, I mean, Jess is always talking about, like, they're trying to, you know, figure out how to do it in the parking lot, and you know, and I know that, you know, Tom and all of my clients want to get back to work as quickly as possible, but they need to do it in a safe way. I think for the larger theaters, it's interesting because it's more feasible in some ways because they have more seats, but they'd have to be at least 50% capacity or less. And then at that point, it becomes a financial thing too.
Yeah.
And is it then worth it to risk? It's that whole, like, it's this huge trickle down thing. And so I just don't know what's going to happen. I think all of us sort of are just in a wait and see holding pattern. I can't tell you this. Everybody's talking. They're trying to make something work. I don't think anyone's just sitting back going, okay, we'll wait until there's a vaccine and call me in whatever weeks, being optimistic there, and whatever weeks it takes to have the geniuses of the universe, you know, have that pandemic vaccine. They're not waiting. They're thinking. They're trying to figure this out. But again, your safety, creative team safety, that's huge. And I know that not only are they talking to each other, the city's involved, and that they're also talking to the unions, you know, and so, because that's a big deal too. You know, this isn't just the actors and everyone, it's all of your individual unions, because Lord only knows we casting directors don't have one. So, but you guys have unions that protect you. So.
Thank you, Jane, for your
question.
I miss you too.
Oh, I love that. That's some virtual love up in there. I feel it. Kenneth, you are next. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So you had mentioned in one of your earlier comments, help us find you, right? So as actors, you always think, okay, how can I put myself out there? But so you said the website was one idea. Is there any other practical tips, or are there any other practical tips that you can give us of ways that you can find us, the actors?
Yes. I mean, anytime I have a student, the first thing I do when I'm doing my prep work is a couple days before each class, I'll do my prep work on each of my individual students. And one of the first things I do is I Google them. Right. And I see if I'm just randomly looking for Kenneth, how difficult is it to find him? And what can I find out about him? I should, Kenneth, be able to just type in your name, be able to go to a website that has your picture, your resume, reels, photographs, and whatever else. But all that should already be there. But it's amazing to me how, and then if that's the best case scenario. The second thing is I type in your name, comma, actor. Right. Because, you know, I don't want the Kenneth that's an attorney. I want the Kenneth that's an actor, right? So, but sometimes the Kenneth that's an actor is very hard to find. I used to say before Google that our job was, you know, Sherlock Holmes. It's just finding you guys. You guys are like gypsies. So yeah, I think having an online presence is huge. And having that website is really important, but then also to making sure that the different services have your resume, have your picture, and that you can make yourself easily accessible to people.
And just a follow-up question on that, with social media, right? What would you consider too much? You know, on that front, what would you consider is enough? What is not enough? Thoughts on that?
That's a great question, sweetheart. You know, I always recommend that you have 2 different accounts. That you have a personal account, because you said what's too much, and I immediately go to TMI, right? Because there's some things that I don't want to know. I don't want to see it. I don't want to.
Can you repeat that again? Say that for the people in the back.
Did you hear me in the back?
That's how I feel with some of my friends. I love
right?
it, but yeah.
So keep 2 separate accounts, especially on Instagram and you know, because like you guys could get yourself in a whole mess of trouble. Like, okay, so not only is it just because there's a big quagmire of things going on right now. It's people's politics, people's values, people's everything, right? Keep your business clean. Keep your business and keep everything else separate from that, which is difficult because what we do is kind of like this, right? And so there's certain times that you can't keep that separate. But I always recommend having different accounts. But I'd say definitely Instagram, definitely Twitter. What else? I'm trying to think of what else. But IMDb is helpful, but I know that they charge you money. Backstage, you know, different services that have social media platforms, not so much just so that you can be readily available to people. So people can find your information as opposed to what you had for dinner last night.
I'll jump in and add LinkedIn is a good one. That's actually where I think I found Kenneth.
Wonderful. Shout out to Kenneth. I love that. Megan, you are up. Kenneth, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. It's great to see so many faces that I love. My question is, first I wanted to say that I have so far attended 1 virtual play, and I was very hesitant because I just didn't know if I should be feeling resistance, and you know, I was like, I don't know about this. But the one that I went to, I felt like was quite successful for being a Zoom play. It was put on by Source Material, so some rad Calartians are at the helm of that. And I enjoyed it, and it gave me hope. It gave me hope for this new medium, and I don't know what the future of virtual shows is. And I guess I just wanted to ask, like, is it on your radar? Is this something that the theatrical world is really talking about, or because it's probably not connected at all? At least this is my assumption. It's probably not connected at all to like equity and stuff. So I don't know if it really is applicable to the conversation if we're talking about equity actors and stuff like that. But so yeah, I'm just curious if it's on your radar and like what you think about it and what the future might be.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, sweetheart. I mean, I think honestly, like I said earlier, we all have to start thinking outside the box. And creation doesn't mean get in the car and go to the theater or you know, sometimes it looks it looks differently in different moments in time. And I think right now you get what you get and you don't get upset. Like you know, any theater right now is better than no theater at all is what I'm thinking. I've seen a couple of those like you did. I saw a musical and it's no, it's not the same, but I tried really hard not to go apples to apples. I'm like, okay, this is like, I don't know, when you start migrating or bringing different fruits together and you create a whole new thing. Some of it's going to work and some of it isn't. I am just grateful to see that creative outlet. I'm respectful of the people who step up and say, listen, it ain't what it used to be, but I'm still going to do something. Because sometimes doing something is better than doing nothing. And I think always doing something is better than doing nothing. It makes you feel better. It makes the audiences feel better. But in regards to the second part of your question, I know that my clients at the Rev who are, I mean, Brett Smock has been genius, and he's been thinking outside the box from the very get-go. He's like, how can I get this done? And so I know that they're doing a production of Buddy Holly. And I can't wait to see it. Actually, it's going to happen next week, this week. My dates are all messed up, but I think everyone's trying to figure out a way that like, okay, then we have actors at the theater and then videotape that for people to see. Like, you know, basically do what the athletes have been doing. We put you in a bubble and keep testing you and have people be there, you know, signing waivers, I'm sure, of the yin yang, and then videotaping that. I think the fear from producer side of it or creative side of it is that then it somehow or another bastardizes the theatrical process and what we're doing. But again, something creative is better than nothing creative. And I know too, in TV and film, they're doing the same thing. They don't know how to do this. I have a million friends in editing, and they're out of work now. So content's important right now. So, but your lives are more important.
That's the slogan of the night.
Yeah.
The slogan of the night. Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I think we have one more question coming in. Does anybody else have any other press? Christian, go ahead. Go ahead. You're on. Thank you.
Hi, Christian.
Hi, Julia. Thank you so much. My question is, in the room, how do you feel about asking for feedback or after an audition, just in terms of improving? I mean, I know it might be better if you have a relationship with that actor already, but if it's the first time you're meeting someone, how do you feel about making space for that? Or
I am 1,000% all in to feedback. Back in the day, I have to tell you, agents would drive us nuts asking for feedback. Now I can name on maybe this many fingers how many agents will actually reach out to me after an audition for feedback for their clients. So that's one of the things that I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. You have to be your own advocate. And I think, Christian, that this is something that, again, it's all in the way that you make that connection, right? So say you come in to audition for me and you want to get some feedback afterwards. And I would say wait until the project's over, because usually when we're in the throes of casting, it's usually a little bit busier. And then you can just send an email and just say, hey, listen, I'd either love to get some feedback from you via email, or do you feel comfortable having a voice-to-voice conversation? Because I've done that too. I'm just like, let's get on the phone, because sometimes email is like texting. It's like you cannot tell tone. You cannot, you know, it's like, and people, please, like we are in an industry of connection, And if we leave everything to email and text, at least pick up the phone, go old school that way, right? You know, that voice to voice, that face to face, like I just had like a Zoom meeting just with an actor who just said, listen, I've auditioned for you like umpteen times and I've yet to book something. Can we talk? I'm like, heck yeah, let's get on a Zoom chat and talk. So yes, to me, I have such respect for the fact that you care enough about your work, that you want to grow, that you want to hear what you can improve on. You want to hear, my feeling always is you need to know what you did right, you know, and sometimes you need to be reminded that it's a business, you know, and that there can be umpteen different reasons why you didn't get the job, none of which you have in your head right now. You know, it's not because you stuttered on line number 2, or it's not because you went to go shake our hands and everyone went like this. You know, it's never what you think it's going to be, you know? And so yeah, I know that my assistants and people that have been readers for me, they've said, oh my gosh, everybody should be a reader, you know, just that you see what it is like on the other side, because there's so much love and support for you guys on the other side. And sometimes you feel it and sometimes you just don't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you. Hey, Leanne, you are up.
Hi. Nice to meet you all. I'm Leanne. Thank you so much, Julia, for doing this. So I'm a recent graduate from UCLA in theater. Thank you. And obviously graduating college during this time is rather strange. And so I was just wondering if you had any advice to someone who, I feel like I had a lot of momentum and then it just kind of all came to a grinding halt with showcases and things like that. So do you have any advice on how to move forward and navigate in this time?
Yeah, I mean, hey, Leanne, what do you want to do?
Musical theater was my emphasis. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Brian Kite at all involved with your Latin?
Yes.
I'm sorry
yes.
about that. Very sorry about that.
I know he was my teacher first freshman year. I took directing from him and then he became the dean.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's one of my favorite people. I do love him. And I have to say UCLA is one of those programs where you know, we call it the Spring Awakening. I think, well, no, Brian, I think he said the Spring Awakening rule, because we hired or wanted to hire more people for Spring Awakening from UCLA. And then the dean at the time, I think that's why Brian became the dean, said, no, you can't hire, you know, you pull them out of school and you can't hire them anymore. But anyway, I'd say now's your time to start making connections. I know a lot of people at the showcases, because I know we didn't go to any. You know, but I got a lot of virtual showcases. So follow up. Who are the casting directors that you know, are you here in LA still?
I'm actually in the Bay Area at home with my parents.
You're in the Bay Area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But wherever you want to land, and the Bay Area is, you know, it's not a far drive, and it's not. No. So wherever you want to work. And that's the other thing too, the sky's the limit right now, guys. You submit videos to East Coast, West Coast, it doesn't really matter, because a video is a video. And if you're willing to go places, then go, or make those introductions right now, so when the time does come, they know who you are. So I would say, who are the people that you respect? Who are the people that you want to work with? And then craft those emails, get those, you know, pictures and resumes looking good. Have your website up first, so that's ready to go. You've graduated from an amazing program, so you've got to be ready to go in that aspect. But keep that muscle tuned. You know, do as much as you can in that respect too. How do you feel with video auditions, things like that? But yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Leanne,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
It's nice to meet you.
Congratulations. You're a Bruin. Congrats. That's exciting.
Thank
Go
you
Bruins.
so much.
We are going to be wrapping up soon, because Dave Mack likes to crack that whip on me about time. I said it. But does anyone have any last minute questions? I have one more for Julia, if anyone does not. How can people contact you, and how do you feel about people sending you, whether it's their headshot and resume, or, you know, a tape of them doing a monologue? How can people contact you?
You know, I'm you're preaching to the, I'm preaching to the choir, hopefully, or I'm not going to be a hypocrite. My website.
Yes.
It's florescasting.com, and it's got my direct email. I don't hide from anyone. I am an open book. You always have an open door. If I know you, if I don't know you, it doesn't matter. I mean, I do love the people that I know, but I could know you in a second too. I mean, it just takes one email. I know Kenneth now. I know Haley Ann now. So, and Christian. And so it's nice to make those connections. And again, now's the time to do that. So website has all of my information. You know, come do a masterclass. I'm doing them at like 65% off. It's $30 for 30 minutes, just private one-on-one. And we do whatever you guys want to do. I just can't stomach the idea of charging more than that right now, because it's just, I know, you know, life isn't what it used to be. So, and even when it was, but yeah, so let's do some work and let's play and create and make you feel ready and strong, ready to go.
Julia, I cannot thank you enough. Before we close, we are going to take a group picture. If you guys feel comfortable, those who don't have your cameras on, you can turn them on. And if not, that's okay. I'm still sending beautiful virtual love. I want to remind you all, some of these great highlights is make sure that you continue to think outside of the box. That was a big thing Julia said, and make it happen. My favorite line that she was saying, do a little dance when you think about it, make it happen. Also, the idea, think about that we don't want to play detective. So if casting directors are trying to find you and you have a gorgeous name, I'm going to use Kenneth as an example, we don't want to look for 20 other Kenneths. We want to go straight to that incredible Kenneth right there, front and center. Stay encouraged, everybody. I cannot thank you enough for sharing space with us. We can't thank Julia enough. And let's take this picture. Let's take this picture.
Thank you, everyone.